I, 27, have been with my husband, Jay, for over 10 years. We got married 6 years ago, but only did it through court, and we never had a wedding. We always said later, but timing was not on our side. Well, it finally is. We decided to have our wedding ceremony and reception later this year and invite our closest family and friends. We were doing our guest list and decided that my older sister would not be invited. She has been a toxic person in my life since I can remember. To name a few things. When I started dating Jay, she used to tell him that he could do so much better than me. I've never been someone that wears a lot of makeup, and Jay has always known this. She used to tell me that he was going to leave me because I didn't take care of myself. I've suffered with an eating disorder and have done inpatient. She told Jay that I was crazy and shouldn't be dealing with me and should just leave me. When I was at said inpatient, she tried to use me to get an excuse for her job so she wouldn't have to do something she didn't want to. All under the pretense of helping with our girls. This was my second day there. When I told her I couldn't, she called me selfish and why couldn't I do this for her and didn't reach out the 2 months I was in there. And just so much more. As the years have gone by, Jay has stood up for me time and time again and doesn't let her run over me, something I've had trouble with. She hates this. She mentioned one time that he shouldn't get involved in family and sister matters. We had a traumatic childhood, so I felt like we just had to be close. I think it's part of why I had such a hard time cutting her off. Anyways, last Thanksgiving we got into a fight. Jay and I tried to have a civilized conversation and put all differences aside and move forward. Did not go well, and she played victim at all times. Jay and I knew we tried. She brushed it under the rug and a few days later was back to normal. After that, a month later, Jay had to leave for 2 months for a training and I stayed alone with my 2 girls. She made all these promises of coming to visit us and keep us company, and so did her husband, brother-in-law. They ended up coming to our state and then kept making up excuses as to why they couldn't come. She didn't talk to me until she went back to the state she lives. I was annoyed because they also promised my 6-year-old and then just left her hanging. After they went back, she texted twice and I briefly answered once since I was annoyed and honestly didn't want to get into a fight. A week and a half after the texts, the girls and I got into a car accident. Car was totaled and it wasn't pretty. Thankfully, the girls had minor injuries. She never reached out. Never cared. Mom and younger sister came to help and called her in FaceTime, and she gave me an attitude. It was like something clicked and I was just done. She's a negative and toxic person for me, blood related or not. Obviously, I told my family she will not be invited and they know everything, but they want me to be the bigger person because she's your sister no matter what and just be the bigger person again. I've stood my ground, but am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Screw that with being the bigger person. Do not let her in your family life. I would go no contact with her. She is a toxic person and she will try to bring you and your whole family down with her. Cut her out of your life. You don't need that kind of person in your life. Set boundaries with your family too. Tell them this is your wedding and this is your dissension, and if they don't like it, they will be uninvited too. End of story. Don't give them a change to speak about it too. Every time, give them 2 changes. If they bring it up, say strike one more and you're not welcome anymore at my wedding. They bring it up, say, whose wedding is this? You are my wedding. Keep this up and you will be uninvited too. And if they keep bothering, keep your promise and uninvited and block them. Let them think about their actions. If she wants to be invited to family events, she should act like family. The word family clearly means nothing to her unless she can get something out of it, so tell them that. Inform them anyone who makes this an issue will be removed from the guest list, as clearly they think their misguided thoughts on family and being the bigger person. Code 4, your sister is difficult and we don't want to deal with her, so you should cave, are more important than your comfort, peace of mind and enjoyment of your wedding and life. Your wedding guests should all be people who agree to support your relationship before and after. If you have any feeling at all that you don't want someone there, don't invite them. If family are weird about this, they are free to invite the person in question to their own events in future. Don't waste an expensive seat at your wedding, especially in these times when event size is still limited. This might be a good opportunity to make a final break from your sister. She's going to be pissed you don't invite her, and hopefully that means you will get a few years of reprieve from her bullcrap. If she gains introspection about how bad she must be behaving to not get an invite to her own sister's wedding, then bless her heart. Update. We had the wedding this weekend, and it was everything we could have wished for and more. We were so happy to finally have this day and share it with our loved ones. These past few months I've been in therapy to deal with just different things, and obviously the topic of my family has come up. My sister and I actually had a talk about a month and a half ago. Just her and I. She apologized for a lot of things which she has never done before, so I appreciated that. We also realized that this was the first time we actually sat down to talk, just her and I. No one else involved. My mom would usually want to be there and then meddle. Then send messages back and forward, but it was never what me or my sister said. We realized my mom had a lot to do with our relationship and how it went. She knew some of her actions were toxic, and that's when she apologized about it, and we had a genuine talk about it. It was nice. Afterwards, we talked at least weekly, and you could feel the difference now that we had talked about everything. She ended up coming to the wedding, and there was no drama at all, except the cake, but can't be a wedding without a mishap. We really had the best time, and everyone got along perfectly. Thank you for all the support on the previous post. Didn't forget about you, and just wanted to update it, you guys. On Sunday, my friend and her boyfriend came over for a roast dinner. Roast dinner for those outside the United Kingdom is beef, Yorkshire puddings, roast potatoes, veg and gravy. My friend's boyfriend is a vegan, and I thought this would be a fun challenge. Making a roast is a lot of work, but I didn't want meat eaters to miss out for one vegan, so I made two completely different dinners. I researched the best possible way to make a vegan version that's still yummy for him. I spent a fortune on the vegan alternatives, didn't mind as I invited them over, and was game for a new cooking challenge. Anyway, I served the dinners feeling pretty proud of myself, and the boyfriend didn't even mention the meal, just said thanks at the end. I was a little bit miffed he overlooked the work I put into his dinner, but whatever. Anyway, made a non-vegan and vegan dessert, a large creme brulee, and for him, a chocolate pudding thing that was vegan. I also had chocolates out, etc., which were not vegan, and offered coffees. The boyfriend asked for a coffee with regular milk as he fancied a treat. I must have pulled a face, no way that I didn't, and said, okay. I'm pissed off at this point, considering the effort I went for respecting his diet requirements. I return with coffees, and he is scoffing my part of the creme brulee, leaving me with his vegan dessert. I said that wasn't vegan, and he went, doesn't matter. I kind of lost my crap and pointed out how rude it was of him to ask for his dinner to be 100% vegan, as far as not cooking potatoes and certain things, and how I went above and beyond, trying to make his meal pleasant for him to throw it in my face. He laughed and said, chill, not that big of a deal. Anyway, he thinks I'm a huge idiot, and his girlfriend, my friend, is conflicted and in an awkward position. If I've been the idiot, I would apologize to clear the air for my friend, but I feel that he should. Not the idiot. This boyfriend is not vegan, he is vegetarian at best. Veganism isn't a diet. Veganism is a moral stance against consuming or using animal products. If you aren't doing it for the animals, then you are simply plant-based. I'm really sorry that you went to all that trouble for an ungrateful pretender. I, as a vegan of 6 years, would have been super grateful and thankful that you made not only a vegan main, but a dessert too. Please do not let this experience taint your views of vegans. I repeat, this boyfriend is not a vegan. Vegans cannot be flexitarians. Homemade creme brulee. I've attempted that several times and never gotten it right. The milk is either undercooked and watery or overcooked and curdles. That's a rare treat to have someone make some. If for that alone I would have gone with not the idiot. And there's all the other stuff too. People go vegetarian or vegan for all kinds of reasons. Unfortunately, he sounds like the self-righteous vegan who only does it to come across as enlightened and better than everyone else. I'm special, and everyone has to go out of their way to cater to me, and my specialness makes me morally superior to all of you. All your friends, vegan or not, should always thank you for cooking every time. You don't just go to someone else's house and eat their food without showing gratitude. So even without the vegan part, he's a jerk. But adding on how much extra work you went to, he is even more of an idiot. Also, if someone makes food specifically for you and don't purposely ignore it and eat food intended for not you. What the hell? He absolutely knew the brulee. How do you get those fancy marks on the letters? Was not his. You did not give it to him, it was not his to take. He's an idiot for that. My employer has given the employees the choice of working at home or going into the office. Personally, I feel that it is safer to stay at home given what is still going on, and it's about half and half of my coworkers who have decided to stay home or go to the office. The problem and conflict is that I often have 2 or 3 one-hour Zoom meetings a day. I use headphones, but I do talk during part of them. I close the door, but the noise bothers my husband, who is in the other room. He is also at home all day since he's unemployed. He keeps telling me I am selfish to stay at home and bother him when I could choose to go work in the office, and he says I'm just too lazy to go to the office and waves off my health concerns as paranoid. I do feel guilty because he gets really upset by the noise and says it's hard for him to focus on stuff he's reading when he hears me talking. Am I wrong? Should I go into the office a few days a week? I am getting a lot of comments that I should tell my husband to look for a job, but he told me he doesn't want to until COVID is over, which is a bit weird since he says I'm paranoid about it. Overall, he makes me feel guilty a lot, which is why I came on here. Lately he's been getting upset that our place isn't clean enough. We don't sleep in the same room, but he comes in and inspects my room every day, and today he was upset about the noise again. Not the idiot. You're providing for him, apparently doing all of the household stuff, and he is complaining about being disrupted by your work. What exactly does he provide to you of value? He isn't providing financially, helping with anything by the sounds of it, and also isn't nice to you. I would highly suggest writing down everything. How you feel. What you do for the family versus what he does. Determine what you want your life to look like. Figure out and write down what you need from him and expectations. Then sit him down and go over it with him. I'm not one to jump on the divorce him train, but you need to think about how you want your life to look like and if that includes him. Not the idiot, he should be too busy making you breakfast, lunch and maintaining the house to worry about your meeting. His job should be to make you as comfortable as possible while you are working from home. Next time he complains about the meeting, tell him that he can work on some household tasks or make you a sandwich to keep him focused on while you are earning the money for the house. He can wear headphones while he cleans the toilets. Not the idiot. And I think you should start meeting with financial professionals to ensure your assets are protected in the event of divorce. Your husband is a freeloader who is inconvenienced by the breadwinner earning her paycheck. I'm not saying this is an automatic divorce, but you are the one working, and the resources in the house are provided by your paycheck. I'm also pretty disgusted that he complains about your cooking and cleaning when I would think cleaning would be the perfect thing for him to do while you're in your meetings, as these are typically not intensely focused tasks. My sister died 6 years ago. She was married to James and had Luca, now 14, Megan, now 12, and Dante, now 11. After my sister died, James turned on me and my family. I don't think James liked my sister much in the last few years of their marriage. He seemed to really grow to hate her. I had that vibe for a couple of years before she died, but especially after. He was just so callous, and he told me he was free from her at last, that she should have known he didn't want to be with her anymore and really set him free. I think he never left because of the kids. But he has said he is glad she's dead. He could find real love. He could find someone better. Just talks trash about my sister, and it's disgusting. He never said anything to her while she was alive and they were married. He met his wife 13 months after my sister died, and they got married 4 years ago. She has a 7-year-old son and 2 kids with James. We are not a big blended family. My parents and I see my nephews and niece with visitation granted by the courts after he tried to cut us off, but that's where it ends. We see them 1 weekend a month and for a certain amount of time at Christmas and near their birthdays. Their stepmother has complained before about us not including her kids with my nephews and niece. Her biggest problem is we have a special birthday cake we make in our family, and we make it for each member of the family every year. Every member gets it. The kids have helped us bake it too. She knows about this. She has seen photos. She wants us to make it for her kids and to include them in the tradition. My parents and siblings have said no. So have I. One day she called me using Luca's phone and told me as the mother of my nephews and niece I should share with her kids. I told her she's their stepmother and her kids are not my problem. I want to add here that the kids are aware now of how much their dad resented their mom. It's made their relationship tricky. It has also made their relationship with their stepmother pretty bad too. They see how badly they want their mom to cease to exist even in their memories, and they hate her for that, and they don't know how to feel about him. Their stepmother is pissed at me for hurting young kids. I know Luca has mentioned that his stepbrother does seem to know more about what happens when he and his siblings are with our family, and he said he does feel left out. He thinks his dad and stepmother are talking about it around the other kids. He told me he kinda feels bad, but he also doesn't want them intruding on the family. He said his stepmother would only use her kids as a spy. Megan said her step and half siblings don't belong in our family, and her stepmother proves that when she acts the way she does. But I do feel bad that younger kids are being hurt by this, even if it's the other adults doing this. Am I the idiot? Cheese and rice. I feel so sorry for your nephews and niece. They lost their mom, and their dad goes out of his way to let them know how much he hates her. Him and his wife want to act like she never existed. If she never existed, the kids wouldn't be here. He actually said he's glad she's dead, and his kids are picking up on that. He's a sick individual. It is not your job to welcome your former brother-in-law's new wife's children in your home. Especially with how gross and spiteful they act towards your sister's memory. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. I don't know, I may be a callous person myself, but in my opinion, honestly not your problem. It's a family tradition, they're not family, they don't try to act like it, they tried to keep you away from niece and nephews, they're not trying to honor your late sister, and are trying to erase her, as you said. If stepmom isn't taking into consideration her stepkid's mother's memory, why should you involve her children in anything that has to do with your sister? And your niece and nephew don't seem mad about it just being a mom's side of the family thing. It's shame for the step-siblings, but if dad and stepmom really cared, they would start their own tradition with their families, instead of trying to co-opt your family's tradition. It is not you or your family's responsibility to parent his new wife's kids. Personally, I would listen to your nieces and nephews and not include the step-siblings, as they are likely being manipulated by their terrible parents. Not to mention the horrible things that he said about your late sister. If the kids change their minds about including them later on in life, when they're older, then your family can consider it.